April 4, 1949. In Washington, D.C., 12 nations signed a treaty. It was meant to prevent another world war. The world had just survived World War II. But a new conflict was already forming. The Cold War. The alliance created that day was called NATO. Its promise was simple: an attack on one is an attack on all. 75 years later, that alliance still exists. But today, it faces one of the greatest tests in its history. War in Europe, rising tensions in the Middle East, and even questions about whether the United States itself might one day step back. The alliance built to prevent war is once again standing at the center of global uncertainty. After World War II, Europe was devastated. Cities were destroyed, millions were dead, economies collapsed, and one power began expanding: the Soviet Union. Eastern Europe quickly fell under Soviet influence. Western nations became concerned. In response, 12 nations formed a military alliance: United States, United Kingdom, France, Canada, Italy, Portugal, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Norway, Denmark, Iceland. On April 4, 1949, NATO was born. At the heart of NATO was Article 5. It stated, "An attack against one is an attack against all." This changed global security forever. A war with one country could become a war with many. And that was the point: to deter war by promising overwhelming response. For decades, NATO faced the Soviet Union. The world lived under nuclear fear, missile crises, military buildup, tense standoffs. But NATO helped prevent World War III. Because neither side wanted to trigger Article 5. Fear created peace. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. The Cold War ended. Many believed NATO would disappear. But instead, NATO expanded. Eastern European nations joined. Former Soviet states joined. NATO became larger than ever. Then came 2022. Russia invaded Ukraine. Suddenly, NATO became central again. Military budgets increased. Finland joined NATO. Sweden followed. Europe prepared for possible conflict. NATO was back. But today, NATO faces another challenge. From within, some American leaders have questioned NATO. Why should the United States defend Europe? Why should American taxpayers fund European defense? The United States is NATO's backbone. Largest military, largest budget, strongest deterrence. Without the United States, NATO would weaken dramatically. And now, that possibility is being discussed. At the same time, tensions are rising. The Middle East, Israel, Iran, military buildup, regional conflicts. NATO members are watching carefully. Because local conflicts can grow quickly. Just like during the Cold War. 75 years ago, NATO was created to prevent another world war. For decades, it kept the peace. But today, the world is changing again. War in Europe, rising tensions in the Middle East. Questions about NATO's future. What happens if alliances weaken? What happens if tensions rise? History does not always repeat itself. Sometimes, it warns us.